Hey guys, it's Lindsay. We're gonna do a pick a card reading for the collective. I really enjoy doing these, and I know you guys also enjoy these. So the first deck we have here is deck number 1. That is the Neon Tarot, and this is a prophecy stone on top. Deck number 2 is the White Newman Tarot, and I believe this is a sodalite. It could be a there's another one that looks similar to sodalite, and I can't think of it right now, but I think it's a sodalite. And then deck 3, we have the Light Seers Tarot with a polychrome jasper from Arizona on the end. So take a moment, intuit which deck is yours. And as always, if any of these messages don't resonate, take only what you need and leave the rest. And if one deck doesn't resonate, please feel free to choose another one. We are going to start first with the Neon Tarot and the Prophecy Stone. The Prophecy Stone, I have just learned, is what's called a pseudomorph stone. So that is when one mineral replaces another. So originally this would have been a marcasite mineral and replaced by limonite is what I believe it was called. These are primarily found in the White Desert in Egypt, and they are said to have a high vibration to them. So pretty cool, pretty powerful stone. I wouldn't recommend, sleeping with it unless you want aliens to visit you. But that's a story for another time. Just kidding, guys. Maybe not really. Okay, Neon Tarot here. Deck number 1. Let's see. Spirit, what is the message for deck number 1? What is the message? It's interesting because we have this stone here, and then the first one that I'm seeing is the star. The Ace of Pentacles is coming up like a star, so it looks very similar to the prophecy stone itself. For me, the way this message is coming through is seeking higher knowledge, different areas of knowledge. So it's being prompted to go outside of your normal learning and educate yourself on things that are beyond, if you will. So that may show up in learning about different spiritualities, learning about different myths, different cultural beliefs, specifically around higher consciousness and things like that. So God consciousness or whatever you want to call it. But there's this drive towards higher spirituality, basically, in whatever form that comes in for you. And it's interesting, even in some ways, I was jokingly talking about the aliens, but in some ways, I think for some of you, it is learning about the stars and astrology. So we have the stars here. Learning more in depth about your own astrology, learning about your partner's astrology, and really kind of diving deeply into that modality as a way of understanding your life and the universe. So if you are being called to, learn more about astrology and things like that, I'm also hearing numerology. If you're being called to learn about those things, this is a confirmation to, find a program that works well for you, find a workshop, find a class, find a mentor around those things, because you're being positioned to learn those things for a reason. The numbers and the stars is what is showing up for me. It's this kind of really interesting iconography labeled over one another. So I'm seeing both the astrology symbols, but also the numbers over it in kind of a matrixy way, which is really fascinating. So in another way, it's also like getting downloads of information that how computers download information, but specifically for you, you may be getting random messages, waking up in the middle of the night and all of a sudden receiving a message. And if that is true for you, make sure you're writing them down, because there's something very important about paying attention to these messages and how they're coming through for you and guiding them on the next step. Because I feel like you have so many questions. Those of you who picked this first deck, you have so many questions that really need answers, and these questions are coming from within, and you're being guided towards these answers. It's just broadening your perspective, your horizon, and shooting for the stars, as it were, specifically around learning astrology, which is really fun. Shooting for the stars. Sometimes I scare even myself. So, not that that's scary. It's just, we're all energy. We're all picking up messages all the time. And it's always interesting to me because I get many people who may not believe in tarot or, psychic visions or anything. And all I explain to people, I've had people challenge me before, and I'm like, sometimes I will pick up your messages and sometimes I won't. And it's depending on how open your field is. So from my perspective, as someone who is, for lack of a better term, psychic, I'm picking up the energy in your field. And when I'm doing a group reading, I'm picking up the energy in multiple fields. So we're constantly broadcasting what we're thinking about in our energy field, constantly, every single day. And so when we walk by someone, we're picking up on that energy. And for those of us who have fine-tuned ourselves to be able to pick up pictures, words, things like that, we've just learned to turn the dial to the station to get the clearest broadcast, right? And so that's kind of what this card deck is about for you, collective. It's about that tuning that station so you can learn how to pick up the broadcast, pick up the message that you need, and it will help lead you on your path. And also, there's this other energy that's coming through here. You have the Queen of Cups. This is a way where you can, it's almost like giving yourself a sense of control in a world that's uncontrolled, So for whatever weight all of these modalities and systems hold for you, for whatever period of time, we outgrow things, we learn new things, and then we continue on our path. We may not always hold to something, right? But for the time being, you learning about these modalities and training yourself in these modalities and opening up your senses, it's a way for you to regain control, and almost it has this calming sense, is the way the energy is coming through as you're learning. You're like, oh, that applies to my life in this way, and okay, I can see how that would go. It gives you back your sense of control in many ways, where the way it feels like you've lost it. The world has been the world the world upside down. Exactly. See, I told you, sometimes I scare myself. The world has been devastating, for lack of a better word, for everyone, but for some more than most. And I think to hold on to something, to have something to hold on to where you feel like you're being guided from outside yourself, from beyond your very human perspective, some people need that. And I in my own life need that. And as long as it's something that is helpful and not harmful, then why would you not continue the study of that? Ace of Swords, exactly. So you're learning how to navigate through learning about astrology and numerology and all these wonderful ologies, right? So that's really the gist of this deck. So I do hope that was helpful for you. I'm going to move on to deck number 2, which was the White Newman Tarot. Hi, deck number 2. The White Newman Tarot with the sodalite. So sodalite has to do with the third eye. It's associated in the chakra system. It's associated with the third eye and opening the third eye. So our first deck, we were talking in many ways about that, kind of higher knowing. But for this deck, that's not so much what I'm getting. I'm just gonna kind of take a moment and try to drop in for the energy off of this deck. Okay, so it's almost like on the back of the card there's birds. I think these are cranes, but I actually saw them as swans. So I was hearing almost like you're blooming. So those of you who have chosen this deck, you're blooming and you're being noticed in different ways. You're being noticed for different things. Your name is on a lot of people's lips right now, or it will be, for something very specific that you're going to do or you have been working on. And that doesn't necessarily have to do with work. I feel like there's something very attractive about you right now, as far as we're talking about swans, as far as a lot of people being attracted to your energy right now, a lot of people reaching out maybe from your past. And this can be romantic, but this can also be people who have worked with you in the past. So you're really primed for connection right now is the way that it's showing. And people want to connect with you. Now, wherever that's coming from, whether it's romance or, work or any of your passions or anything like that, there's a reason you're being connected with people in these areas. So just pay attention to who's coming out and what they're seeking. Queen of Cups. So as far as your emotions are going, and we had this in the Neon Tarot as well, you're riding the wave. And if you haven't felt like you've been riding the wave, you're starting to come up and out of the wave, starting to break the surface where you can finally get a hold on your emotions and have that queen energy where you're not drowning beneath the wave. You're floating on top of it like a swan, and you're directing yourself. Not that swans float on the ocean, they sometimes might, but you know how they move above. They paddle their feet and they move above, because I also feel like in some ways you're splitting from old habits around your emotions, and having people reach out, having people wanting to connect with you, having people wanting to help you and or grow with you in whatever area, you are feeling emboldened in ways you haven't before. You are feeling empowered. So where before you would hide yourself away, it's less likely that you would do that. You're more ready to shine and be seen at this point. So you're really growing out of this type of energy, which is the Two of Swords. It's a very depressive and anxious energy. You are growing into yourself and your emotions, and you're finally getting your head above water. This is a very water focused reading, emotional reading. Anything else for deck number 2 that is showing up? Take the chances is what I'm saying. Take the opportunities as they come, even if it's something that you may feel a little bit unprepared for. Take the chances, because I do think that there's reasons that these people are being put in your path, and I see hands shaking, things like that. Every opportunity that comes your way that feels like it could work, even if it feels a little bit out of your realm of knowledge, take it. Because there's things that you're supposed to be learning in those areas. Shake those hands and make those connections is what I'm getting for deck number 2. Take the opportunity. And there's one very large opportunity that's coming your way late fall, early winter is what I'm showing up. This may be around work, or it may be around a goal, or it may be around both. You have the Chariot reverse, which is interesting because that's movement reverse. But then again, talking about water. We just keep talking about water. It's almost like cutting yourself off by saying no. So this is the warning and the opportunity. Don't cut your movement off by saying no to something that may be a little bit out of your wheelhouse. Okay? Because again, as I said, it's an unexpected surprise. Because I think some of these things, when you're connecting with people and you're shaking hands with people, it may not initially look like what you want or what you want to achieve or where you want to be, but it almost feels like these connections will get you there, 1 or 2 steps down the road, but you have to take that first step. And this can be in romance, this can be in work, is the way it's showing up. You have to take that first step, that first opportunity to get to know and meet these people. It's not always, right off the bat, the thing that you want. It takes you agreeing with the universe, basically, is the way it's showing. Okay, deck number 2, that's what I think we are having for that message. That was a pretty good message. And then deck number 3 is the Light Seers Tarot. And this is a polychrome jasper, really beautiful kind of pastel colors. I think it was from either Arizona or New Mexico when I got it. Okay, let's see. Deck number 3, what is the message for deck number 3, Spirit? Rise above. I'm hearing rise above. And much in the way deck number 2, collective. But yours is more like you are meeting challenges, and it's constantly feeling like you are meeting challenges. And I see you going up a mountain. I see you going up a mountain and like rising above these challenges. So continue to do that. 7 of Cups. It's also decisions. You're going to be asked to make some very hard decisions. I'm sorry. And it's specifically coming in around home. I don't know if it's necessarily the family. It feels more around the home itself, and or living in the home, and or it's almost like renovations in the home, unexpected renovations, or moving the home and having to do renovations, things like that. That's the way it's coming through, is something around your stability and the home and the foundation of the home itself. Can we get a clear image on that, Spirit? What is the message for collective for deck number 3? What is the message for collective for deck number 3? Has the door slams. Yeah, so it's the door slamming on a cycle around your home. The wheel, the turning of the wheel. So it's like unexpected decisions specifically around your home that you're going to have to make and be prepared for, and it's going to require a certain level of strength from you. Here's the strength card. So just be prepared for that. I do think that you have the strength and tenacity to get through it. I just think, it may be a little unexpected. So it's definitely giving like home renovations, something around the home. I don't know. I'm also seeing something around stairs. I don't know what that means. So, hang on. I'm being told to stop. Hang on. Something around stairs. Stairs, getting upstairs, getting downstairs. So if you have older parents and they need to move, or you're moving them, or you're moving in with them, it's something around difficulty getting up and down stairs. So that may be part of the decision to either change home or have somebody, if your parents are older and you are their caretakers, having them move in with you is what I'm getting. Specifically for somebody having difficulty getting up downstairs and or going upstairs when they shouldn't be going. They don't have the mobility to do these things anymore, and you kind of taking control of that. Yes, the Tower. So it's definitely giving a Tower moment as far as having to make a decision very quickly around the home and the stability of the home. And the other part of this is you taking charge in the home and becoming like the head of the house, essentially, in the way that you take charge. So if this is true around, having taken charge from your parents who would have been, the head of the house, and you now representing the head of the house, that is the energy that this is. It's that movement from being a family member to the head of the house is what I'm getting for this deck. Okay. Thank you guys so much for letting me read for you. Again, my name is Lindsey Rose. This is Storyteller Tarot. If you would like your own reading, please check out the links in bio. As always, I wish you well.